Platoon, you're wrong. Or are you? So many people have tried to create counter DD for the GME and AMC movement, but now we actually have, wait for it, yes, a counter DD, counter DD. So this is the every counter opinion they can find about GME and proving them wrong. I'm imagining there's gonna be some speculation in here, but there is no speculation on how much you guys rule. You guys rock. So thank you so much for waiting until the end of this video before making your own counter DD for this counter DD. Thanks Seb for joining as a Mo Monkey. Appreciate him. And if you guys wanted to join as well, that's right next to the subscribe button, which I'm assuming you guys have already pressed, on our way to 100,000 subs, getting up to 77,000 today. Wink, wonk. Really excited for that. Let us go through this. Poured over every counter opinion they can find about GME from user Remy789. Give this source a upvote. It's going to be in the description. And let's try to get this video up to at least 800. Very auspicious. 800 likes on this video. If you see that this video has fewer, it's time to do your civic duty. Hello, my fellow smooth brains. User Remy789 here. They are many things. Largest among them is skeptical. And with this in mind, it stands to reason that when we heard Hector with the coffee in the morning, yes, so thank you so much, Hector, the roommate, the best friend. I was standoffish about diving straight in. There was so much that I didn't understand and so much pushback. Slowly, I digested the DD here. There was convinced and became a triple-digit shareholding ape. And with that being said, recently there has been an awful amount of FUD taking place and some folks falling prey to the same talking points that have existed since the beginning. In light of the recent challenge to post counter DD, they took a chunk out of their weekend to read every counter DD they could find, watch every negative video, talk to every person they know cared about the stock in any way, and work to understand their perspective. So DD fighting DD, this is Avengers Endgame Civil War right here. Let's see if we can take the bears on and prove our power as apes. Let's see. Welcome to their counter DD. Let's break it down. Apes buying inflated the price, not the shorting. This is the very first one. We're gonna just have these quick and fast opinions and then the counter opinion right below. Once again, these are opinions. You can do your own financial research, but you definitely shouldn't take this as advice. The idea that this counterpoint exists exposes a much darker question. Who has the right to set the value of a stock? The laws of supply and demand. Here we're going to get a little bit more supply and demandy, a little bit more theoretical here. So the higher price the supply can be, if the price becomes inflated, it's not sustainable, etc. They have been here since December, and despite the tomfoolery happening, the stock has gone from $4 to $140. We know that it will go higher because of all the shorting shenanigans. So basically, explain here, which is, hey, it seems like the apes are here making the price go higher, and that's the point. We control 100% of the float according to certain DD calculations, right? So in that sense, we are the whale now. We have the ability to say, we believe this stock is worth X, Y, and Z. And since we control so much of the buying and selling volume, a lot of the buying volume, not much of the selling volume, we get to decide what the price is. That is the truth. This is how markets work. It's not because this is an anomaly. It's because this is just supply and demand. Speaking of that, if that's the rule we're going to say is law, the stock itself could be worthless. And if people keep buying it in larger volumes, then the price should go up regardless of the opinion of its value. Yes, apes buying would raise the price. That's how it works. The unacceptable end of the spectrum is what the hedge funds were doing before this started. They were intentionally shorting a company into the ground for financial gain. Ironically, their market manipulation has led us to the current climate. It is their overly zealous shorting tactics that will cause the price to soar. This whole thing is stupid. So that's number one, right? So you understand that this is a push and pull of institutions who seem to be, people seem to think that they are a little bit more legitimate than we are, right? This is not the case. But at the very least, people have the idea that, hey, don't we have a right to also decide what goes into the markets, democratizing our vote with the selling and buying actions that we have? I think so. So that is number one. First and foremost, a very important piece of the puzzle here. Do we deserve to make a vote on the supply and demand side? Number two, the whole thing is stupid because it relies on reckless investing practices, and most people on Reddit lack diversity in their portfolio, investing in GME in just high stakes emotional gambling. Okay, so I can start seeing the argument for this, right? It's true that a lot of people that have started on AMC and GME, train for their investing journey are likely not going to build off the ability to, find out nuance in this world. And that's one of the ways to be able to decide whether or not this actually makes sense to you specifically, right? This is something that may be true if you have started off this journey, but everybody has to start somewhere. Trash Panda says our commander looks hungry. Let's give him a treat. Here you go, bud. There he goes. To be fair, so is the rest of the stock market. Investing is and always has been the act of willfully taking on risks for the chances of a reward. The difference between that and gambling isn't a whole lot more than the bureaucracy involved. The risk calculated in the decision to invest or not to invest in GME is a personal one. There has also been some amazing DD that's purpose was not to persuade, but to inform. If after that information, an investor, experienced or otherwise, decides to invest, that is their decision and theirs alone. A lack of diversity in one's portfolio is not detriment to the value or the investment in a company, right? You can't point to the person and saying the people that invest in you only invest in you. They don't invest in anything else. Well, not a lot of us are fully day traders. Not a lot of us are just doing this for a living. Some of us just really like the stock. Some of us really want to make a statement for Occupy Wall Street 2. And some of us want to make a buttload of money. And right now they think the best once in a lifetime opportunity is AMC and GME. So this is I would guess this is a straw man fallacy, right? These apes haven't done due diligence. They are ill-informed and lacking in research compared to real investors. This is an entire sub dedicated to working through the new laws, like legislation and minute-by-minute updates. Yeah, I cannot disagree with this anymore. People who think that we haven't done the right research. This is just the peer review stock investment portal that we have never seen before. Seriously. This is an entire sub based about it. And here is the favorite post about it. Here, the greatest lie ever told by Wall Street is that you don't do your research. Is that they will win and you won't. Wealth doesn't happen overnight, therefore GME won't moon. You're right, this has been brewing for months. This isn't a new fad or trend. There have been diligent investors and researchers that have pulled the numbers for each and every single one of the points. Don't be intimidated to try and digest some of it. Apes are nice. We'll help you understand the bits that you don't. This subreddit isn't going to do that to convince you to buy. It's to give you the information needed to make an informed decision. As for the actual evidence of the stock moving, zoom out of the stock price for GME. It has been steadily growing. And if you zoom out, yeah, just today, we don't even have to talk about steadily. We have seen some major rips in GME today for the positive catalysts that have been growing piece by piece. Oh man, I see this so many times. The squeeze has already happened. All shorts must cover. Valar Morghulis. All men must die. Full stop. We know that there's instances of naked shorting and over shorting, right? Recursive shorting here. When those shares get recalled, regardless of any other peak, all stocks available must cover. And this is when subreddit believes individual investors holding will set the price. So this is the theory. The theory itself has to be shown to work when the shorts actually cover, right? So this is the squeeze has already happened. And I always say, you are thinking of the wrong squeeze. There are margin call squeezes. There are gamma squeezes. There are now suddenly crypto squeezes as well. No matter what, you are thinking of the gamma squeeze, not the short squeeze or something similar. It's going to crash the economy. It's morally wrong for retail investors to manipulate the market. None of these ideas have anything to do with science, numbers, or data behind the stock. Full stop. Each of these counter DD points has more to do with the emotional or moral implications of the mother of all short squeezes, right? The opinions that every single counter DD has are faulty because they're operating under the moral implication of the mother of all short squeezes, right? We've talked about, certain people who haven't invested get crashing their investment accounts or their retirement accounts. But at the end of the day, That's because the hedge funds decided to stick their thumbs into your pie, not because you made a bad investment choice. It's because they decided to do that for your investment. It's kind of like going up and getting a mob protection, right? And then feeling like the mob boss is going out of business and suddenly you don't have protection. They were the ones that did it to you to begin with. That's a pretty good analogy to begin with. Okay, the burden of morality has always been shouldered by the disadvantaged. The only time questions of morality came up in the counter DDs is when they saw the idea that the mother of all short squeeze would wreck the economy, wipe out 401ks, and send us to a 2008-like recession. The blame for this was always attributed to the retail investors. Let's be clear about this. It's not going to be the fault of retail investors. It's going to be the fault of the same people who caused the 2008 crisis. It's going to be because the unbelievably stubborn margin called hedge funds don't want to right now cover at a loss, but at the very least, they won't crash the entire economy. They continue to short, they continue to max out their credit cards with one credit card and then the other and do the cyclical naked and counterfeit shorting. We have had enough. Thank you, Aaron Purdue, for the super. We have had enough at this point. At no point has the public ever demanded that hedge funds or large brokerages demonstrate some type of emotional loyalty towards stocks, contracts, or options they invest in. They have never been expected to shoulder the entire burden of the economic consequences of their actions. Too long, didn't read. The crux of the issue is not whether or not there will be a squeeze. All shorts must cover. Full stop. They can buy on the dark side if they like. They can continue to suffocate current stock prices, but when that margin gets called and all the shares have to come home, we will see that the emperor has no clothes. The problem is the idea that GameStop is being measured against typical trends. It's not normal. It's not. It is not bending to normal trends. And speaking of abnormality, we have this channel and Professor Meatball, a dog who is also a professor, to teach you guys about bell-to-bell information about what you need to know to start growing a financial education relationship and be a lifelong learner. Thank you guys. We're gonna now head off to the Coinbase IPO, but I appreciate the Moon, Platoon, Gorillionaire, and the Meatball, the Space Legend tiers for pressing that join button next to the subscribe button, and we'll see you all in the money.